Hey guys, welcome back to Viewers Comments number 3, where we're going to answer all your questions on the dust collector system I have in my garage.
Well done, system. But why do you suck the clean, warm air from your shop to the outside?
I'm actually not that concerned about warm or cold air in the summer or winter getting sucked out of my garage, as I don't climate control it as is right now, and I don't really have any plans to in the future.
Did you leave the outside wall unsealed? Just the extractor louver? Good build.
No, I didn't leave the exhaust louver unsealed. I went back and caulked around the entire thing with some white silicone, as well as over the screw holes.
Was that a distance saw in the background? I once had a World War II model.
So I assume this is the saw you're talking about. I actually just cleaned off all the rust from it and actually removed a little bit of the logo too. I took a picture of it beforehand. Maybe you can help me identify it. I don't think it's a Diston.
You didn't put an anti-static wire inside?
Now, I used a PVC pipe for my dust collection system. Now, PVC pipe acts as a double insulator. Whatever happens on the inside is not going to happen on the outside in terms of a static charge. So if there's a bit of a charge on the outside, you touching the outside of it might give you a shock. I've never experienced it yet, but if it does, that's a shock on the outside. It's not going to penetrate to the inside. So that fine dust air mixture inside has no chance to spark and come alive with fire. Now my cyclone and the motor are both grounded and run back to the main panel. This should alleviate any static charge within there swirling around.
Great video. What's the name of and where can I get that blue flexi tube hose you're using for the drill press?
The blue flex hose I use for my drill press dust collection is called Lockline. I got it from Lee Valley Tools. It cost about $40 for that 2 feet of hose.
How many hours was this?
If I had to put a number on this project, I would say 20 hours. That includes designing up the blast gates, getting the materials, everything. Now, if you want to get the real hours of me just staring up in the ceiling trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do, that's probably about 5 million hours.
Nice setup. How is that manifold with the 3 smaller hoses working?
The 3 smaller hoses coming out of the one for the sanding station is working really well as far as I can tell. Now, it's not the strongest suction in the world, but it is eliminating all the dust on the top of the tables that was previously blowing in my face.
Bad idea cementing all your joints. I would have just taped them. It means you can reuse them if you ever shift shops.
I don't really have an issue with me cementing the joints together. It acted as a great source of strength within the system, and it was super easy to do. Now, if I ever want to move something, or I do move my shop altogether, I'm just going to chop them apart with a Sawzall and connect everything back together with couplers.
Total cost, question mark?
The total cost for this entire system, including the new Harbor Freight dust collector and Cyclone sheet metal, was about $500 Canadian. Now, if you factor in all the scraps and freebies I had, probably about $650 for someone that had nothing on hand.
How is it still holding up? Any needs to upgrade or change anything? Great video.
So far I have no problems with my system and I wouldn't change a thing. The only issue arose when I was using these magnetic door switches to actuate the relay. Now the relay draws about 70 milliamps worth of current, and these are only rated for 50 milliamps. So as I was closing these one by one, they would weld themselves shut and the dust collector would stay on forever. Now I have since replaced this system with a little stop block that will hit a limit switch. I'll show you that now. So this limit switch setup is much better, as these limit switches are way cheaper, easier to get, and they're rated for a much higher current, so they won't weld themselves shut like the magnets did.
Any chance of detailing the low voltage blast gate switch setup?
Ask and you shall receive. What I've done here is drawn out the entire system in AutoCAD. I have this file up on my website available for you to download if you want to look at it in further detail. So what I have is a dedicated circuit on a 15 amp circuit breaker in my main panel, as the dust collector itself draws about 15 amps. So if you were to use this on the same plug as, say, a table saw, it would pop the breaker every single time. So what we have is the dust collector cord coming from the motor to the plug stock out of the box. I simply cut it where I need to, attach the black and white leads, the 120 and neutral wires, across the normally open contacts of the 3-phase contactor. The third pole is unused, as this is not a 3-phase system. So what we have is a 24 VDC power adapter providing 24 volts across all of the open limit switches. These normally open limit switches go in parallel back to the coil, completing the circuit, closing the contactor and turning on the dust collector. When all of these are back open, the dust collector will turn off. Now please guys, do me a favor. If you don't understand this wiring diagram, please don't try this. All right, guys, that does it for viewers' comments number 3. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below in the comments. And if you want to see more of these viewers' comments videos where I answer your questions, give that thumbs up and I'll be sure to keep making them. See you next time.